Hello world and welcome back to another episode of Astral Sorcery, where today we're going to be going all over everything you can do with the Mantle of the Stars. And as always guys, if this video helps you out in any way, shape or form, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, it really helps me out. And ring the bell button as next time we're going to be going all over the Stellar Refraction table. Let's start at the beginning. And we'll do that by starting at the end, as in order to actually get the Mantle of the Stars, you're going to need Radiant, which is the final chapter in the book. You're obviously going to need the Iridescent Altar in order to do everything that you can do with this, and then you can make the Mantle of the Stars. Now, the Mantle of the Stars is a very simple recipe, as it pretty much just requires a leather tunic. It's very easy to get a hold of. So you need a leather tunic, you need any rock crystal, it does not matter. You can have 4 of these resonating gems, 4 illumination powder, 4 stardust, and then as we're using the iridescent altar, you will need to have a star metal ingot, a stardust, 1 feather, and an ender pearl in order to create this. And just to demonstrate this, I've put our crafting recipe inside the iridescent altar, just in case you have not seen how the iridescent altar works before. You just need these starlight astral relays, sorry, not starlight astral relays, you just need these astral relays on the floor in an area, and once you start the craft, you'll see that these ghosts start appearing. Then you just place down your 4 outer items that we have around the side, and each one you do will give us a different item. We have 8 different astral relays here, as there are some things in the game that require 8 astral relays, but luckily for us, this one only takes 4. Our last one should be an ender eye, and you know that you completed the craft when all of the different light beams shining out our astral relays turn into different colours, and eventually we'll get the Mantle of the Stars. There we go, perfect stuff. Now, the Mantle of the Stars by itself, it doesn't really do too much. As you can see, it does give you 7 armor and 1.5 toughness, but by itself it doesn't really do anything. You can wear it, obviously, and you'll look very good, but this is only the beginning. In order to actually grasp the full effect of the Mantle of the Stars, you first need to sort of attune it to a constellation. Now, unfortunately, it's not as simple as just throwing down your Mantle of the Stars on an attunement altar, as that does not work. Instead, each individual Mantle of the Stars requires its own specific recipe. We're going to cover them right now. There's 12 different in total, 1 for each constellation, but this does not include the faint constellations. Now, for this episode, for each different constellation, we're going to cover the mantle itself and how to craft it, and then what it does and a bit of a demonstration. A little bit different from running through everything first, then showing it afterwards. So, first off, we're going to start with Discidia here. Discidia is going to require, obviously, the Mantle of the Stars. Every single one is going to. We're going to require 4 flint, 4 stardust, but then around the edge on those astral relays, we're going to need extra flint, 1 iron, 1 spectral arrow, and 1 redstone dust. However, it is not that simple. If we put our recipe in here of everything we're going to need, it's obviously a very simple recipe and doesn't require a lot of stuff actually inside, but as you can see, the craft is not available to work. In order to actually make the Mantle of the Stars and sort of attune it to the right constellation, we first need to plug in our constellation into this slot up here. Now, this isn't putting our constellation paper in here. We have to get an attuned rock crystal or celestial crystal. It doesn't matter what the properties are. We're just using this one here that we've just spawned in, attuned it to Discidia, and now if we place this up here, we can see we've got Discidia, and now we've got the Discidia Mantle. Now, it's the exact same way as actually making the Mantle of the Stars. You start the craft with the iridescent altar, and then place down all your items on the astral relay. And this is going to be the exact same process for every single mantle. Depending on what constellation you're going to have to do, you are wanting that specific constellation inside of the iridescent altar in this top corner here. Something to note also, you don't actually need a spectral arrow, sorry, that's my mistake, you just need a regular arrow. I saw it spinning around between all the different arrows when the craft was happening, but now we have the Mantle of the Stars to Discidia. Now, when you right click this, obviously you start wearing it, you see no initial effect, but each different Mantle of the Stars has a passive effect, sort of. Not all of them have passive effect actually, some of them do. Now with Discidia, this only really works and comes into effect when we deal with mobs. So if we go to hard mode here, just to really make it different on ourselves, and find ourselves some sort of enemy. Here we go, we've got a zombie here. So how this works is if we punch this guy just once, we see we did half a heart of damage. Now if we go into survival mode and have him hit us a couple of times, we will see a couple of different things. So first, he needs to hit us. We've been hit once, we've been hit twice, we've been not hit 3 times. The more we get hit, we're basically charging up energy for our next attack. So we only did half a heart before, and they're still being damaged, but here we go. 3.5 hearts then. Oh dear, it's getting dangerous. Narrowly got back into creative mode there. But what the effects are of the Discidia Mantle is basically every time you get hit, you'll sort of absorb that energy, and eventually, if you get hit enough, you will reflect that energy back when you attack another enemy. Next we have Evorsio. Again, we're going to need the Mantle of the Stars. We're going to need 4 cobblestone. I believe this can also be done with mossy stone. We also need 4 stardust. And on the outside, we're going to need another cobblestone, a flint, 1 gunpowder, and 1 TNT. And of course, this is going to need the Evorsio rock crystal inside the iridescent altar. Now for this mantle, I am also going to have to be in survival mode, as this basically has a very, very special power. With just a regular pickaxe, what we can do is mine now in a 5x5 area. It's very, very powerful, and obviously it picks up the same as regular mods, so if you only break something at one level, it doesn't break anything stronger. But if you break something stronger, then you'll get all the weaker, if that makes sense. So if you had obsidian and broke the obsidian next to stone, all the stone would break. But if you broke the stone next to the obsidian wouldn't break. This is why we can dig up this dirt here. But as you can see, it has a bit of a down charge sort of thing here. So sometimes you do have to wait a little bit. Next up is Armara. This is going to require 4 iron ingots, 4 stardust, and on the edge we're going to need 1 more iron ingot, a leather, 1 clay, and 1 glowstone, and obviously the Armara Constellation attunement. So Armara works a little bit differently as a Mantle of the Stars. When you equip it, we're going to sort of get a charge over time. We're slowly going to absorb starlight. Now, how this works is that if we absorb enough starlight, we're eventually going to equate 3 different charges sort of in our mantle itself. And what this essentially does is in our Mantle of the Stars, when we get hit a couple of times, we're actually going to fully negate at least 1 damage up to 3 different times. Sorry, fully negate all damage at least up to 3 times. So let's see if it works first time. No damage. Perfect. Again, no damage. 1 time. Oh, we didn't quite max up our 3 charges there. But as you can see, I took no damage twice there. So it takes a little bit of time, not too long, as you can see. I believe with these glowing orbs that are around here, that shows us sucking in all the energy here. But if we go again, no damage. And again, see, it didn't take too long to actually get another charge there. Aevitas is next. Now this one is pretty powerful, I'm not going to lie to you. This only requires 4 oak saplings, or any type of saplings for that matter, 4 stardust as well as an extra sapling, an extra stardust for the edge, 1 seed and 1 sugarcane, and of course our Aevitas crystal up in the corner there. Now with this, it's very, very handy. If we right click this on ourselves, what's actually going to happen is, it's hard to demonstrate in survival, but our hunger is going to be satiated, which means we never need food again. We just don't need to eat. As well as that, we also heal much quicker when damaged by enemies, which is very, very handy. But one of the other cool things is if I walk off the edge here, I don't actually fall down. And with this, I can actually jump and keep going up levels, and nothing can stop me. I am no longer going to take full damage for whatever reason. It's very, very handy. And also another thing is you can go down by level if you hold down shift or whatever your crouch button is. So jumping to go up, crouching go down level. So it's sort of like a good way of, it'd be good for building, you know, something when flying isn't too useful. Maybe you're playing with a mod that has a jetpack and you don't want to be flying up and down all over the place. This is a nice sort of in-between bit. You can go up and down, but it is very slow. You wouldn't really use this too much for traveling. Now time for my favourite Mantle of the Stars. Now this is the Vicio Mantle of the Stars. It's going to require 4 feathers, 4 stardust, an extra feather, 1 sugar, 1 string, and 1 fish. Very, very strange things to have on the outside, but that is exactly what it is. And obviously we need our Vicio crystal in the corner. Now with the Vicio Mantle, what this is essentially going to do for us is it's going to allow us to actually fly with elytra flight. It's very, very cool. So if we go all the way up here and then equip this, lovely stuff, we've now equipped, and then we go into survival mode here. As you can see, I've got elytra flight. It's very, very handy. It's a better way of, you know, instead of going all the way to the end, say you're still playing with all this mod and you haven't quite got to the end point yet, it's a very good way of doing it, and it's a bit safer than actually going end busting. However, with the Vicio Mantle, this is the only mantle that actually can do things when it comes to the perk system. So we've gone over the perks in a previous tutorial when we actually attuned ourselves. So if we go to perks, and we are actually attuned to Vicio right now, except I haven't actually unlocked the perk required for this, as I've got 25 levels here. But when you go down right to the bottom here, you'll see Spectral Wings. The Vicio Mantle now grants flight instead of elytral gliding, and this is exactly as it sounds. We don't actually have it unlocked, but if you had this perk unlocked and went in and you're in survival mode, you would get creative flight. Everything about it is creative flight. I currently use this in my SevTech Ages of the Sky series, and I do that on Twitch, and it's so much fun and so easy to build. It's just amazing. It's a one-up definitely from Aevitas, but Aevitas is a very good starting point. And that's the end of all the bright Mantle of the Star constellations. Now we're moving on to the dim constellations, starting with Fornax. We need 4 coal. This can also be charcoal if you would like. You also need 4 stardust, another coal in the corner of course, redstone, 1 iron and 1 gunpowder, and of course you're going to need the Fornax crystal in order to actually craft this. Now, the Fornax is very, very interesting. If we go over to this lava point over here and actually go into survival mode as well, what we can see is that obviously if you go into lava, you are going to start taking damage, no doubt about that. But if you put this on, instead of actually taking damage, lava now heals you. It's very, very strange. It's very, very different. Fire and lava now heals you. If you take this off, obviously I'm taking damage, but we still have that little bit of effect left over. Also, it's probably because we are in peaceful mode. Let's go to easy mode here. There you go. Now if we go and put our Mantle of the Stars on here and jump into lava, we instantly get healed. It's a very strange technique. It's very, very fun and very, very powerful. Moving up to the top row now, we now have Mineralis, which is going to require 4 iron ores, 4 stardust, 1 more ore in the corner, 1 iron ingot, 1 gold, and 1 redstone. This has to be iron ore again, sorry, in the corner here. Now, Mineralis is very, very powerful, and it's very good for late game Astral Sorcery, but still early game to a whole mod pack, especially if you can sort of get duplication of draw ores later on. If we equip or first spawn in our Mineralis Mantle of the Stars here, once we have it equipped, you'll see that nothing immediately happens. What happens is when you are holding an ore in your hand, you have the ability to see ore underground up to 20 blocks away. There you go, there's even more. There's loads of iron ore around. Now this works with all ore. So if we got some diamond ore and went right down to bedrock, let's see how quickly we can actually find something. Let's see, I've got all the way down to not even bedrock, and already I can see 2 different diamond spots right away. And let's just prove the theory and dig our way over there. I would never have found this in a base game, just telling you that now. And there we go, straight away, we've found diamonds. Now time for probably one of the most OP constellations in the game, as with every part of this mod so far. And you've probably guessed it, it's Horologium. This is going to require 8 stardust, and that is it. We're going to require, obviously, the 9th stardust for the corner. We're going to need 1 diamond, 1 ender pearl, and actually a clock, which is a bit strange. But we obviously know that Horologium is all about time. So, with the rituals, we know that this throws mobs. Now, with the Horologium Mantle of the Stars, it is very similar. Now if I equip the Mantle of the Stars here, I've now got Horologium on. The only thing that's different is that this will freeze mobs, but only when attacked, and it only gives you a chance. But as you see, I've been attacked, and everything in the area has just stopped. Essentially, every time you get hit while wearing the Mantle of the Stars, the Horologium ritual activates. It's very, very strange. So it's not always, as you see, I just got hit there again. It doesn't always happen. There's a bit of a cooldown between each time you can actually do it. Something else to say, that when you are using the Horologium Mantle, jumping into lava or being burnt by fire doesn't activate this effect. It's only when you get hit by a mob. Let's go for a bit of water now. Back to Octans. This is all about the sea, of course. So first we're going to need fish and stardust, 4 fish and 4 stardust, an extra fish for the corner, a fishing rod, blue dye, and 1 clay. Now with the Octans Mantle of the Stars, it is very handy as it allows you to actually swim a heck of a lot faster. fact, it's probably not working while I'm in creative mode, but if we go into survival mode here, a little bit faster here. It's meant to be a lot faster, but as you can see, one of the main things is that we have water breathing here. We can breathe as much as we want to. I don't believe it's infinite. It could be infinite actually, it's not going down, but we should be able to swim a lot better. Another thing you can do is while underwater, you no longer have the mining fatigue, so you can mine just as normal when you are underwater, and this goes for all tools, although for whatever reason, you're probably not going to be chopping down a tree underwater. Say you wanted to make a mob farm, but you wanted to find a spawner first but had no way of doing so. Well, now you can, with the Lucerna Mantle of the Stars. For this you're going to need 4 glowstone, 4 stardust, an extra glowstone for the outside, 1 torch, 1 redstone and 1 coal. I believe this can also be charcoal if you wanted. Now Lucerna is very, very powerful, as when equipped it's going to detect all nearby spawners and containers with a 36 block radius, and it can be seen through walls. So I believe, as we are seeing here, these little boxes here, that's what this is. These little green bits, we are seeing this underground, of course, but also we can see some other stuff. So if we go under here, what's actually here? I believe that all these yellow little points here are actually detecting mobs. All these little yellow dots are protecting mobs as well, so we can both see containers. There's obviously one inside this asteroid due to the mod. There's obviously loads of containers that I have placed down myself, as well as inventory spots. Yes, it does seem like workbenches are also a very similar thing, especially with this mod anyway, or actually the astral relays. Now let's see how long it's actually going to take to find a spawner, because that's probably something that's pretty rare, not going to lie to you, although there is some yellow there. Now that's either going to be an enemy or it's going to be a spawner. What do we reckon? It apparently wasn't a spawner. I think, however, a whole new cave system has been lit up from way back when we were using the cave illuminators. Another thing the Mantle of the Stars can do is if you ever get into a bit of a dark spot, it will automatically start lighting up the area. As you can see, as I move around, lights just start appearing. Unfortunately, I did not find a spawner nearby, but obviously if you see any of the green little blowy bits underground, you know that there's an open ball chest there, which means there's probably a spawner. Pelotrio is probably one of the OP ones, to be honest, when it comes to Mantle of the Stars. Now this is going to require just rotten flesh, 4 of, and 4 stardust, as well as 1 extra rotten flesh for the edge, 1 blaze powder, 1 apple and 1 egg. Now with Pelotrio, what it's going to do is essentially spawn echoes, and I'll demonstrate what echoes are, of your tools when using them. So if we equip this here and we go into survival mode here, and I use my pickaxe on this wall, what's going to happen is a little sort of pickaxe is going to start mining for me. Now you can get quite a few of these going at once. I believe there's a maximum of 3 in total, but as you can hear and see, they're just mining away for us. There you go, I actually got up to 4. There may be a lot more than I thought. Now, however, it works with a pickaxe, but it doesn't actually work with a shovel, unfortunately. However, it does work with both the axe and also the sword. So if you're going into a big boss battle, say in your mod pack, you can go and use your sword to your heart's content. But here you go. You can see the axe also does leaves, so if for whatever reason you don't have a mod that has, fast leaf decay, this is actually a really good way of getting rid of it quickly. So you only actually have to do a couple of things at once, and then suddenly your whole forest is gone. Now, how about, just for argument's sake, let's actually demonstrate the old sword here. If we just hit a couple of times, you can see there's another sword, and I believe each time we actually use this sort of thing, it's actually going to use the same level of sword as what you already have. And as you can see, there's 4 different swords that just absolutely ruined that skeleton. And last but not least, we have Bowtez. Now Bowtez is going to require 4 wheat, 4 stardust, 1 extra wheat in the corner, 1 bone, 1 apple and 1 leather. Now Bowtez is actually going to be something that's not actually related to animals, surprisingly enough. However, you will get a little follower. Now what I mean by a little follower here is you're going to get a little spark. So right now I've got Bowtez on, nothing is really happening. However, if I went over to a mob here, I believe I can do this still in creative mode, and I attack this mob. Okay, it doesn't work. Let's go into survival mode here and see what happens. If I attack these mobs, I might die. So a side note, I just came back over to my body and some of the skeletons have now picked up the Mantle of the Stars. That's not a very good idea. How about we try this again, eh? If I get hit by something while wearing Bowtez, you see that a little spark appears. Now this spark is actually going to attack enemies for you, and you can get up to 3 of these sparks following you at one time. There's a little bit of delay between each one actually spawning, but we will get multiple at once. Now eventually they do fizzle out and die, but until then it's fine. It's almost worth getting hit a couple of times to actually spawn in all 3 first. Now finally we have all 3 little sparks. Now I've been using golden apples just to heal myself. I don't want to be dying again. As you can see, we've got 3 sparks and they're attacking people! Anyway, surprisingly, that is actually everything you can do with the Mantle of the Stars. Or is it? In fact, Mantle of the Stars, as you can see, they are a little bit damaging, but how do you actually repair these? In order to repair these, all you're actually going to need is Stardust and an Anvil. There we go, I've just spawned in an Anvil. We get our little Mantle of Horologium here, and put in a Stardust. It will cost a bit, but it will repair your item. It's very, very simple. But as well as that, all of these mantles can actually be enchanted, and you can put whatever enchants you actually want on them, and even mending. So if you really want to, you can have mending, and say you want to go and, I don't know, go on a killing spree while using Discidia, you can absolutely do that, and it will just never ever break. You can even put on some of the new enchantments that we're going to discover inside the Stellar Refraction table in the next tutorial, because as unfortunately this is the end of this tutorial. If this tutorial helped you out in any way, shape or form, ladies and gentlemen, please could you leave a like and subscribe, it really helps me out, and ring that bell, as next time we're going to be going all over the Stellar Refraction table and all over the new and different enchants that you can get in this game, and the Minecraft vanilla ones that are going to be just a little bit augmented. But until next time guys, take care.